All right, what's up, everybody? We are on season 4, episode 15 of Attack on Titan called Soul Salvation. And, I'm still a little bit, probably still going to be a little bit quiet here because, after coming off of that previous episode, that was a devastating 20 minutes. Like, all the events that we saw unfold in that episode were just tragic as hell. And, of course, I'd kind of been ready for it because, in general, season 4 has been a pretty tragic season, I would say, but it's really made me sort of have to think a lot about. That's what I've been doing now in the week leading up to watching the episode that I'm going to be watching here. Is I've kind of been trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's been with this show from the very beginning, right? Like, say you'd been watching Attack on Titan since 2013 when the first season aired, or you've been reading the manga. I think those chapters would release month after month or something, I was told. But again, it's a whole process, right? Like, getting to the point where we now actually are in the show, for many people took about 10 years or something, right? And that's crazy to think about. And I think that coming at it from my own perspective right now, as somebody who's been watching the show since September, that's when I started with the first episode. And so it's been my own journey, I will say that. It's crazy because it's almost been at least half a year now, but I feel like it's going to be pretty much close to a year or like 3/4 or whatever by the time I finish it, right? And that being said, I was able to just watch the episodes back to back, basically, right? And, consistently, every 3 or 4 days, I'd be watching a new episode. That's basically how it's always went. And so because of that, I feel like it's much more easier for me to be very much on board with everything that's going on. And I will say the one thing that this show has pulled off amazingly well is that it's not even that what we're seeing right now in season 4, it's not like it's a drastic turn necessarily of the direction some of these characters are going in, like Eren or something, right? I feel like what's so genius about it is that the show, just over the course of these 4 seasons, really took its time in taking this whole 180, really, that it's taken. Because in the beginning, think about it. Think about season 1. It started out as just a group of awesome characters that you very much rooted for going up against these titans, right? And so you had your common enemy. And so again, you were just on board with all these people. You love them all for different reasons. They all had different personalities, but they were all great and they worked together. And that's what it was. The intros represent that too, where they had that patriotic music that I talked about previously. And that's what the show was. But now it's something else entirely, right? I still think, once again, it's awesome how, for me as somebody who has been watching it back to back, I feel like that turn that it took, it did so very slowly. But at the same time, of course, if you are watching season by season and you are waiting for a year or 2 years, or I think in the case of season 1 and 2, it was 4 years or whatever in between, right? Then it's still going to feel a little bit drastic maybe in a way. And so, I guess really, before I start to ramble too much, but the question that I find myself asking is what... in particular, Eren's storyline. What direction is Eren going in, or what's the end point here for Eren, is what I actually find myself really asking about. Because there's 2 directions I can see it heading into now. And I'm almost inclined, and that's, I guess, the thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm almost inclined to want, me personally, it to go in the direction that I think for a lot of longtime fans, they do not want it to head into that direction or something. Where I feel like the path that Eren is on right now is just the path that he has chosen. And the path that it's been naturally leading up to. And there is no room anymore for redemption. That's genuinely what I would actually lean towards. That's also the direction that we're going in. And it's probably the direction that I kind of want for it in a weird way. Even though, of course, I care about all the characters, but I just feel like this is what the story had prepared me to happen all along or something. Does that make sense? Of course, there is also that second direction that I could still foresee, because this is only the end of part 1 that we are nearing right now. There's still going to be a part 2 and a part 3. So maybe Eren will actually have his moment of redemption or whatever towards the end of the show, or something is going to happen where these guys are going to be fully back together again, and somehow we're still going to find a common enemy or whatever. That's not Eren right now in terms of like, because that's kind of where I see it going now, is that Eren is the common enemy, or he is going to become the common enemy together with Flock and all the people that are following him, right? The Jaegerists, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but it's so difficult because it's like, yeah, but who could the common enemy ultimately still be, right? I mean, I can only imagine it's going to end in some type of finale where there is like a battle taking place between particular factions or something like that. But the problem of this show, of course, is that it doesn't paint any faction as black or white. They're all the same, really, when you think about it. They all have their motivations and their reasons, and you can't really root anymore for any of them. So, if anything, right now, the easiest it would be to root against Eren at the moment where we are on the show right now, I feel. So, you know, like, again, do I still see it in any way being able to turn that around? Actually, no. That's the conclusion that I'm reaching. Like, I don't think... But again, I have no idea. I don't think it's going to anymore. I don't even necessarily know if I want it to. Once again, I think that's just a genius part of the story. Like, I am on board with it, regardless of the fact that I can see that, like... yeah, but once again, this is the thing I have to touch on. So, like, at the same time, I would very much understand that other people might not feel similarly. You know, because once again, I talked about it, but like I've witnessed it with franchises that I myself had been, you know, very actively been a fan of for a decade or something, right? When they do end up going in a direction that you ultimately don't like or don't see coming as much, or, you know, it like strays away a lot from what the original, you know, like the original, the first chapters or whatever, you know, was about. It's hard to accept that, right? And that's just the thing. Like, I can totally understand that for longtime fans, it might be a lot harder to accept the direction that the show has been heading into. Whereas for me, it's easy because, again, I get to just watch it back to back and I get to sort of experience that turn very smoothly. But yeah, that's basically like one thing that I wanted to get out of the way. Yeah, once again, the conversation that Eren had there with Armin and Mikasa was absolutely devastating. You know, we got that scene there at the end. Oh, actually, I should mention, Eren talked about that he still wanted to take Mikasa and Armin to Zaganshina for some reason, and I really wonder what that's about. I assume it has something to do with like his house and his dad, or you know, maybe something that he learned or whatever, right? I wonder, but I think he's taking them with him. That's what I made up out of the dialogue that I quickly rewatched as well towards the end of their conversation there. But of course, the other storyline that we have has to do with Levi and Zeke. Levi managed to basically take Zeke captive, and he literally has like a thunder spear, you know, like pointed at him to the point where Zeke can't do anything. So he's pretty much got him hostage right now. And it made Zeke actually think about a scene that was teased there, and that I assume we're going to get into in this episode, where he was playing baseball with this guy, Mr. Xaver, I think he was called. I noticed, and I didn't notice it last time around watching it, I noticed it now real quick as a cool detail. He was wearing Zeke's glasses, because Zeke actually talked about, like, to Levi, he asked, like, where are my glasses or whatever, like that. And so I wondered what that line was about, and then I realized in the quick little, like, glimpse that we got of Mr. Xaver, he was wearing Zeke's glasses as he was playing baseball with him when Zeke was still a kid. Yeah, that's the thing too. You know, I don't think Zeke had glasses when we saw him as a kid in all the scenes before. Anyway, so I wonder what that's about. Again, I wonder who this Mr. Xaver is and what role he is exactly going to play. Yeah, it's a little bit unreal because I just know that, like, okay, I'm about to watch the last 2 episodes here of part 1, and then we're going to be done with that. We're going to get into part 2, and that's the part that I know didn't even air until very recently. And so we're really getting closer to just, like, catching up. And yeah, again, like, I'm actually really, really fascinated to find out what's going to happen here in these last episodes, leaving us off or, you know, like ending off part 1 and seeing like where exactly it had ended there, and you know, what it tells about, like, okay, the possible direction that it could still be heading into then, right, that I just talked about, especially regarding Eren. But that's basically all that I have to say for now. I think it was enough though, but yeah, let's actually just dive into it and find out. Of course, the next 8 episodes will already be up over on my Patreon, which is linked on top of the description. Over there, you can watch up until episode 23 right now, so I can't believe it. We're almost going to be done with the whole show. for now, of course, because there is still going to be a part 3, but you all know that. Like I said, that's linked on top of the description along with full-length reactions if you want to watch the entire episodes along with me, as well as all my OVA reactions are up there. So go check that out. I'd very much appreciate it. And then for now, let's dive into episode 15 of Attack on Titan Season 4. I guess this is Mr. Xaver. Oh, actually it's Grisha.
お前はここから出たいと思わないか。こんな朝早くにお客さんかい。また出直したしや。ああ、エルディア人か。何を
Doesn't like that side.
俺はこの塔の清掃員で汚れを落とすのが仕事だ。た悪魔の末裔がまたガキ作って
Bumping out kids.
よく覚えておけよ、ジーク。これが外の世界だ。お前がみんなを救うんだ。
Interesting how Zeke then still ended up again going against his father's ideals when he did see how those guys were treating them. But maybe Mr. Xaver could have something to do with that. That like he changed his viewpoints or something.
一人遅れている子がいるが、あの子。ああ、またイエーガーか。 他の子はみんな幼くも必死に名誉マーレ人の称号を得ようと努めているのに、奴にはその気概がどうも。
So this is a Zeke flashback. Okay, I see. So Mr. Xaver was the Beast Titan before, or what?
あなたには特別な力があるんだからね。
何よりお父さんとお母さんの子なんだからな。社交ダンスクラブなんて、ジークは寂しがっているぞ。
Wait, what? What did he say? Like social dance club or what? What was he talking about?
1200年前に起きたラーゴの惨劇。何十万ものマーレ人がエルディア帝国に殺された。
わかった。人がいっぱい死んだんでしょ。
Okay, yeah, they keep sharing stories with him to convince him how bad they are, basically, right?
ジークは戦士になってマーレのために戦いたいのか。
僕は戦士になりたい。
Wait, but was he saying that Grisha actually wanted him to be a warrior? Well, maybe Grisha wanted him to be a warrior with like an extra motive to like destroy them from within or something, or... Well, no, he said that Grisha was also sharing these stories, right? About like how they had done bad things. Very confused I am right now. Made up.
始祖ユミル様がそのようなことを望まないので。
お前のようなエルディア人に我が国の巨人を委ねられるわけがないだろう。おい、魚君、そのボール投げてくれないか。
Well, it makes sense that Mr. Xaver was the previous Beast Titan if he liked to play baseball with him.
ちょっとおじさんに付き合ってくれないか。
赤い腕章、あなたは。
君たちが目指すマーレの戦士だ。ほら、君の名前は？
ジーク・イエーガーです。
おお、ジーク、どうも君は筋がいいな。きっとピッチャーに向いてるぞ。
Well, he's respecting him, and that's obviously what he seems to very much appreciate.
どうなってるんだ、グライス。ジークを戦士にできなければ計画は失敗だぞ。
でもまだジークにも可能性は残っているんでしょ。
あ、そうだとも。ジークなら。
Yeah, he was not meant to hear that. He's still lagging behind though. Is that supposed to show how he's disappointed in him? Oh man.
そんなに戦士になりたいようには見えなかったがな。
ならなきゃいけないんだ。なのに全然ダメだった。サバーさんはなんで戦士に？
巨人の謎を知りたかったからさ。私は研究者だ。
Yeah, well, I mean that makes sense.
すべては始祖ユミルが何かと接触したことから始まるらしいが、私はその時に起きたことを知りたいのさ。寿命を縮めてでも巨人の記憶を探ろうと思うほどにね。
When she touched
そんな
something?
ことだから戦争じゃからきしの役立たずだ。この世界じゃ珍しい。まともな者同士なのさ。
Yeah, okay. He clearly likes this guy because he kind of thinks like him.
ずっと収容区から出られなくたって。
I mean, Zeke probably really just feels like a kid in this plan by a bunch of grown-ups.
すでにいくつか目星はついている。
Man, he really looks like Aaron in that shot.
お父さん、お母さん、もう危ないことはしないで。
お前は今まで父さんから何を学んだんだ？
そうよ。これはあなたやエルディア人みんなの未来のための戦いだって言ったでしょ。
そのためなら僕はフェイおばさんみたいになってもいいの。
Yeah, killed.
そもそもフェイが殺されたのはこの世界が狂っているからだ。強いエルディアをマーレから取り返し、当たり前の権利を勝ち取るんだ。
Man, this is kind of sad, man. It's just like, it's clearly just too much for him to handle as a kid, you know? That's just what it is.
なんてことだ。このままじゃ親族全員楽園送りに。
Oh, he told him basically that, like...
キャッチボールしてくれてありがとう。巨人になっても時々思い出す。
Oh, wow. So,
もうこれしかない。自らマーレ当局に告発することでマーレに忠誠を示せば、君とソンは助かるはずだ。君は両親から
I think he actually did do that, right? Like, wasn't that how they...
ちっとも君のことを気にかけなかった。君を愛さなかった。
Yeah, we saw him point his finger like that, didn't we?
君は悪くない。
In the That Day episode, I think. Oh, man, so he literally just, like, betrayed his own parents there. Wow. Okay, he's grown up a bit.
まだそんな年。
Yeah, how much longer does Mr. Xaver have now, though? Because,
もうすぐ継承の人
yeah, I was gonna say, he can only last 13 years.
年寄りにもなれなかったが、研究に打ち込めたことに後悔はない。始祖の巨人がユミルのためにもたらした様々な影響について、記憶どころじゃない。体の構造も変えてしまうことができるんだ。
The anatomy of their bodies?
世界の人口が激減するほどの疫病が猛威を振るった時代があった。当時の王が始祖の巨人の力でユミルの民の
Ooh, this kind of reminds me of a scene way back in season 1, but I don't know if it's connected.
ユミルの民はどこにいようと。
じゃあさ、
どうしてまた悪魔を生んだ。
始祖の巨人ならユミルの民が子供を産めなくすることもできるのかな。もしこれ以上ユミルの民が生まれてこなければ、100年後にはこの世から巨人は消滅している。
So is that his ultimate plan?
話してなかったけど、私には家族がいたんだ。妻はマーレ人だったんだ。しかし、いつまでも騙し通せるわけもなく、私がエルディア人だと知った妻は、自分と息子の喉を裂いてしまう。
Holy shit, dude.
私が戦士になった理由は、贅沢な自殺の方法に飛びついたに過ぎない。
Ugh.
だが、君と出会い、キャッチボールをして、楽しかった。
Okay, it was like... So the research was also kind of a distraction from everything?
力で自分の罪から逃れようとした。
俺が継承する。マーレのためじゃない。始祖奪還計画を成功させ、世界を救ってみせるよ。
王家の血を引く巨人であれば、始祖の巨人の継承者と接触することにより、その能力を引き出すことができるはずだ。 決定権は始祖の保有者に
Yeah, so you have to get him to agree with
い
you.
わば君の役割は
Yeah, 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 exactly.
誰か信頼できる者に
He's the key.
始祖を託すんだ。私たちの安楽死計画を理解してくれる誰かに
Is that
君なら
Xava?
きっと見つけられる。
Okay, this is when he gets the Beast Titan.
見つけてみせるよ父さん。エレン・イエーガーだと。
はい。エレンは始祖の巨人の保有者です。
そのエレンから父親の話を何か聞いたか。
確か今は行方不明で医者をやってたと聞きました。
お前はあの父親に洗脳されている。いつか必ず救い出してやるからな。
Yeah, that explains all of that.
少し父親と似てきたようだ。まずはエレン。
Okay, now we're getting the conversation they
エ
had.
レナから聞いた通り。
あることをきっかけに親父の記憶が開いた。親父が壁の王家一家を皆殺しにした時の記憶だ。
Right. Back in season 3.
子供たちを虫みたいに潰して回った。子供たちの死が俺たちを生かした。
そうか。父親は正しかった。そう思ったのか。
いいや、親父は間違っている。そしてその親父に育てられた俺も間違いだった。この世に生まれないことはこれ以上の救済はない。俺はやる。俺の手で
Huh.
巨人が支配した2000年の歴史にケリをつける。
Okay, so that plan finally
その
becomes
日を迎えるまで
known.
進み続ける。そうだろう。
Until then, I keep moving forward.
その通りだ。やろう。
But what exactly do they need to do to make this possible then?
まあ、今俺たちが接触するのは
I was gonna say, because they can just like activate this right now, then I assume, right? Or how does it work?
エレン。必ずみんなを
Okay, so
救
the
ってくれよ。
baseball was just like a sign of their cooperation.
唯一の救い、エルディアの安楽死。
なんつった、安楽死。お前はこれからくせえ巨人の口の中で、お前にしちゃ随分と安らかな死に方だろう。奪った仲間たちの命に比べてみれば。
奪ってない。救ってやったんだ。そいつらから生まれてくる命を。この残酷な世界から。クソ坊さん、見せてくれよ。
Oh no. He moved too much. Damn, even the horse caught fire. Oh boy, man. Fucking great episode. Absolutely loved it. Once again, man, what another absolutely fantastic episode. And what I just love about this show so much is how it constantly, through episodes like this, it makes you think about particular plans or whatever that characters might have that you've been kind of speculating about in a completely different way, but it still makes so much sense. Like, I love that line that Zeke actually had at the very end towards Levi, where he talks about literally like, me killing your friends, Levi, isn't about, like me hurting them necessarily. It's me saving their eventual children from suffering the same way we all have. And it's like, yeah, again, it's like those little lines, those little details that add so much depth to this storyline. And then finding out what actually that plan is. It's like all this time, the only thing that I could possibly think of was like, okay, what Eren, I guess, is doing is just saying like, yeah, we're going to save the Eldians, right? So how are they going to do that? By wiping everybody else out? No, we're going to save the Eldians by wiping out the Eldians. And like this is the one part that I then don't understand is like, how do they activate this, like this way that they can't get kids anymore or whatever, right? Because like from the information we got, they just needed the the founding titan to agree with somebody of royal blood, and then, you know, to touch or whatever, and then they could actually do that, right? Now, that's the thing. When Eren was there in Marley, he had the founding titan at that point, right? And Zeke has royal blood. So why could they have not actually activated the plan right there and like just caused them to not have children or whatever? Is the reason for that? I don't know if I'm thinking in any right direction here at all, but like, is the reason why that they would be scared that if they would do that, Eldians would actually find out, and so they'd be on this quest to like retake the founding titan as soon as possible, and of course they'd still have Historia on their side, and so they could actually turn it around again or something? Is that what the reason is that they didn't do it here yet or something? That like first they needed to, I guess, make sure that like Zeke was the only person of royal blood still alive, so that that actually makes a lot of sense now that I'm thinking about it. And I don't know if I'm on the right path here at all or something, right? But like, I just couldn't figure out for the life of me while watching the episode, like, okay, why didn't they activate it right there in that moment? But I guess it is actually because it, like I said, can just be reverted. Yeah, other than that, man, I don't even know what to say anymore, guys. What a fantastic episode once again. I'm literally like, I don't know, like, the show becomes so hard with so much information for me to like, you know, first what I have to do is like when I watch an episode like this, first I'm like thinking about it for like 15 minutes just in my head before I'm even recording this review. Then I'm like actually looking up a summary for the episode just to make sure that I took in all the information that was provided, and then I still don't know how I'm gonna actually like talk about it here with you all step by step in a way that makes sense. Because it's just like, you know, you start to think back about so many things. I remember, for example, one detail that we got in this episode where they were talking about how the founding titan, I think, has the ability then to change the body composition, or I don't know exactly what they talked about, right? But like how they could introduce even these diseases or whatever, right? I remembered way back in season 1, and I don't know in any way if it's connected, and I didn't look up the details about it, and I probably should have before recording this right now, I realized. But like, I remember that there was that little scene where just when Marco got killed, and there was some type of like infection or whatever, or they were all wearing these masks, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it whatsoever, but I'm gonna have to probably figure that out, you know, in an episode or two when I do get to think it through a little bit more. But you know, that kind of brought me back to that. Of course, we're getting like a quick glance here again at Zeke actually talking to Reiner and Bertolt, and you know, and like again we're seeing more gaps in the timeline being filled in of like what actually happened, and them announcing to Zeke who had the founding titan power now, and that it was a doctor, you know, that this Eren Yeager's dad was like a doctor or whatever, right? And so Zeke realized that like, oh fuck, Grisha actually like made it out, and so he this is the plan that he set up. Again, I still kind of wonder what Grisha's intentions were there in the very beginning, taking over the founding titan power and giving it to Eren. I assume it simply was, again, to like let the Eldians win in the way of like oppressing everybody else. And so that's what Zeke obviously doesn't agree with, and now Eren doesn't seem to agree with either. They just rather think that like they should end this whole thing by wiping out all the Eldians, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and then again, the whole backstory with Mr. Xaver and like how he, you know, like I just thought that was so beautifully, naturally explained once again as well. How like he was kind of very much on the same page as Zeke, right? Where like he didn't want to necessarily actively involve himself with the whole war situation, and he just... That's the thing how I also described Zeke's situation. It's like, first of all, he was way too young for everything going on. And so that made him literally feel like a kid in this adult's game or whatever, right? Like all these adults were like trying to use him for their own agenda. And he just like, you know, he just looked at the whole situation and realized how sad it all was, right? And so, again, the natural conclusion for that is to just say like this whole thing needs to end in general. And he found a great solution towards that, together with Mr. Xaver, who had his own very tragic backstory again, where he hadn't told his wife that he actually was an Eldian, and so upon discovering that, the wife actually killed herself along with his kid. Yeah, and I can totally understand that, like in the absolute devastation that must have followed for him. Yeah, that he decided to basically distract himself with all that Titan research and everything, right? Like that's kind of one way of looking at it, but then at the same time, it wasn't, of course, just a distraction, because that way he also, well, I don't know, I think it was Zeke actually who gave him the idea here now or something, right? But like, actually gave him a concrete result of that is that they figured out that they could use this euthanization plan or whatever they call it, where they could actually like ensure that Eldians don't get kids anymore, and then when they're all wiped out or they all die a natural death or whatever, then yeah, there's no more Eldians and no more curse and no more suffering. It's fantastic, and once again brings the spin to where like, yeah, as fucked up as like everything, like as fucked up as the delivery for Eren was in the previous episode towards Armin and Mikasa, and you know, like how he's treating all those people, the plan that he's following makes a lot of sense. And I can't say I necessarily don't support it or something or whatever, right? Like it's totally valid. Once again, what a absolutely fantastic show, guys. It's the depth of storytelling that we're seeing in this is unrivaled, and I truly wonder if I'm ever gonna get it somewhere else ever again. It's like you just don't really see it like this, man. That's basically all I have to say for now. I think it was enough. I do want to thank you, of course, for tuning in. The next 8 episodes will already be up over on my Patreon, which is linked on top of the description. Over there, we will be on episode 23 by now, so go check that out. We're almost done with the show. Your support is, of course, very much appreciated. And on Patreon, you also get access to full-length reactions if you want to watch the entire episodes along with me, along with OVAs. But yeah, guys, actually there's just one episode left now in the first part, which I'm going to be watching straight away, and I can't wait to dive in already. I'm very excited to see how it all... I assume they're going to kind of leave us on a cliffhanger, though. They must be, because it's like, okay, we now know kind of what the plan is. Clearly, well, that's the one thing I should still touch on real quick. Like, clearly that's of course, the part where, like, we're unsure what's going to happen now is that Zeke just blew himself up right there, along with Levi. I don't think Levi actually died though, but that that would have been something. But yeah, what, like, did Zeke just actually kill himself? Or, and if he did, then yeah, what then? Again, like, what then? I mean, then Historia is the only person of royal blood, so she would be necessary, and she would have to be on the same page as Eren, unless Zeke and Eren already actually activated the thing, and people just don't realize it, or I don't know. Whatever, guys. I'm gonna have to find that out. For now, thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments, of course. Check out the Patreon, and then I'll be seeing you in the last episode for part 1 very soon.